श्री महागणपते नमः, श्री सरस्वती नमः, श्रीपादवल्लभ नरसिंह सरस्वती, श्री गुरु दत्तात्रेयाय नमः.
The first speaker for today would be Professor Dr. Bhagya Rao. Dr. Bhagya Rao is a psychiatrist. He holds a degree in sociology and law as well. He is a retired professor and head of the department psychiatry and principal Andhra Medical College, Visakhapatnam. He has worked as superintendent, government hospital for mental care at Visakhapatnam, and is the president for the Indian Psychiatry Society, South Zone. He is going to give a talk on the science behind meditation.
Jai Guru Datta. At outset, I thank Pujya Swamiji for his blessing in the form of inviting me to speak on the occasion of this Kriya Yoga International Conference. I also thank all the organizers, Sri Gopal Krishna Garu, Dr. Fanistri, Sri Raja Rao, and all the team of organizers for giving me this opportunity. It gives me immense pleasure to speak on the scientific aspects of meditation, the science behind meditation, or the science in meditation. Manandaram kudanu Pujya Swamiji dayato meditation yokka ఫలాలను అనుభవిస్తున్నాము. దాని యొక్క ప్రశాంతతను, మానసిక వికాసాన్ని అనుభవిస్తున్నాము. కానీ అసలు దానిలో ఉండేటువంటి సైన్స్ ఏంటి, సైన్స్ ఎంతవరకు దాన్ని యాక్సెప్ట్ చేసింది, అవన్నీ కూడాను ఈనాడు మనం తెలుసుకుంటాం. We have been associated with meditation in various forms. We have all learned meditation, practicing meditation, and getting benefits out of meditation. In this conference, it is now time to know the scientific aspects of meditation. What is the science behind meditation? How it works scientifically? What are the conditions in which meditation is useful? What are the various physiological changes in the body that happens with meditation? All these things will be knowing in a very small period of 10 to 15 minutes. Meditation is a self-regulation practice in which an individual trains his mind and induces a mode of consciousness to foster general mental well-being and also realize certain benefits. So this is the definition given to meditation. So it is a condition where an individual trains his own mind. So he gets energy from his own mind. So he trains his own mind to attain the meditation and its energy. And also he induces a small change in his consciousness, which will take him towards the general mental health, mental well-being, and also realize certain benefits out of this altered consciousness during meditation. So this we will discuss in detail. The term meditation refers to a broad variety of practices, much like a term sports. So it's a very broad term. Actually, it includes various aspects of meditation, various ways of inducing meditation, various ways of entering into meditation. So it's a broad term, just like sports, which ranges from techniques designed to produce relaxation, contacting spiritual guides, building internal energy, which is called as chi, prana, etc., receiving psychic visions, getting closer to God, taking astral journeys, and so forth, to more technical exercises targeted at developing compassion, love, patience, generosity, forgiveness, and more far-fetching goals such as effortlessly sustaining single-pointed concentration, single-pointed analysis, and an indestructible sense of well-being while engaging in any or all the life activities. This is the broad outlook of meditation. So it builds internal energy and it develops compassion and love, patience, generosity, forgiveness, etc. And also it improves the concentration and it gives a sense of well-being. This is what is ultimately required for a person to be happy. See, every person wants to be happy, and to be happy, it requires a sense of well-being. So that is what is achieved by meditation. Actually, meditation has basis and also connotation in various religions and various countries. I'll just take you through the various religions and what meditation means in those religions. Firstly, Hinduism. It is called as dhyana, it is called as dharana, samadhi, and sometimes it is taught along with yoga. Sometimes we can practice beads, and also it is mentioned in Patanjali Ashtanga Yoga. So meditation has mentioned in the various treatises in Hinduism. So this is Lord Shiva meditating. So there are a lot of photos, idols, and Hindu prints where many lords are engaged in meditation. The Shiva, the Adi Guru, has been meditating. This is one of the important photos of Hinduism where Shiva is meditating. Similarly, in Buddhism also, it is mentioned as bhavana, jnana, and it is practiced as a path to enlightenment and nirvana. So here in Buddhism also, meditation is practiced. So the tranquility attained by meditation is called as samatha, and the insight that is developed due to meditation is called as vipassana. So these are some of the terms used in meditation in Buddhism. Then in Christianity also, meditation was mentioned. The meditation was mainly sought through prayer and also focusing through specific thoughts. A biblical scene involving Jesus or Virgin Mary. So they have practiced meditation in Christianity. So this is Lord Buddha meditating in Padmasana. I will be mentioning you the various ways in which one can enter into meditation, various postures that can be taken to practice meditation. Then in Islam also, there was a mention about meditation and meditative practices. It is also mentioned in Sufi, Muraqaba, Dhir. So these are some of the words used in the Muslim books and treatises about meditation. Then in Jainism also, a lot of mention was made about meditation. All Tirthankaras, they have practiced deep meditation and attained enlightenment. It is described as solution to, as a solution path. There exists number of meditative techniques such as Pindastha Dhyana, Padmastha Dhyana, Rupastha Dhyana, Rupatita Dhyana, Savirya Dhyana, etc. These are the various meditation techniques mentioned in the Jainism. There is a rich tradition of mantra in both Digambara as well as Svetambara sets of Jainism. So a lot of mention was made in about meditation in all Jainism and Jainic practices. This is a Mahavira in meditative posture. Then in Judaism also it is mentioned as Losoch, Haga, that is murmur, Siha, that is rehearse. And in Sikhism also meditation was mentioned as Simran, Namjapo, Namjapo. And in Sikhism a quiet meditation was mentioned and encouraged. Similarly in Taoism there is Kirtan, singing the hymns of God. This is a way of entering into meditation as practiced in Taoism. And in Western context also, a lot of mention was made about meditation. When I was going through the literature, there is a secular meditation in the West, as stated by the National Center for Complementary and Alternative Medicine, Transcendental Meditation. This is a highly practiced meditation all over the world, Transcendental Meditation. And then relaxed meditation. It is also mentioned as mindful meditation in some practices. And later, scientifically accepted things like hypnosis, the heterohypnosis, self-hypnosis. And there is a lot of meditation involved in hypnosis. And also now latest techniques was the biofeedback. That means while doing meditation, we can control the functions of our body, our blood pressure, heart rate, metabolic functions, and various functions in our own body can be controlled by meditation. And this can be visualized on a screen, can be measured. For example, we can see how our heart rate is reducing by meditation, how our oxygen consumption is coming down by meditation. That can be visualized, measured, seen on a screen, and we can control it. This technique is called as biofeedback. So there are many machines invented for this purpose. The body will be connected to machine. Machine shows the heart rate, pulse rate, oxygen saturation, and EEG, and other parameters of the body function. They can be seen on a screen, and we can gradually control them by using meditation. This technique is called as biofeedback. This is one of the latest techniques where a person can control his body functions by biofeedback. This is one of the Western context about meditation. Actually, what are the physiological changes that meditation brings? Even as a medical student doing MBBS, I was a gold medalist in physiology. So, of course, I understood a lot of physiology after I entered into Swamiji's disciple and Swamiji's teachings. I will tell you about it later. So, in the physiology, various body functions of a yogis are measured. There is a Mahesh Yogi, Ramananda Yogi. These body functions were measured during meditation. What exactly happens in meditation? It reduces the tension. So it reduces the psychological tension. I'm sure all of you might have experienced this. You may be in different stages of meditation, different stages of learning meditation. So most of the changes which I am mentioning, probably you might have experienced by yourself. You might have been experiencing, and you will experience in further also. it reduces the tension. Then it increases the blood flow and it reduces the blood pressure. The breathing becomes slow. Some of the meditation by deep meditation practiced by some yogis, there were instances where the breathing was reduced to 1 breath per minute. Whereas we breathe about 20 times a minute, and there is a relationship between the number of breathing per minute and longevity, depth of meditation. I was told that tortoise is the one which breathes very less and lives longer in the world. Tortoise. So reducing breathing rate has a lot of effect on mind and longevity, heart function and all. So it reduces the breathing. So yogis were supposed to have reduced their breathing to an extent of having 1 breath in 1 minute, whereas we breathe about 20 times a minute. And reduces the oxygen consumption of the body. Actually, I will also mention in some of the studies, scientific studies that were done about meditation, how the oxygen consumption will be reduced. While we are sleeping, our oxygen consumption will be reduced by about 10 to 20%. When we are doing meditation, the oxygen consumption will be reduced to 25 to 30%. So much of reduction in oxygen consumption during meditation. And also the metabolites of the body were also measured, and they correlated with the concept of reducing the oxygen consumption during meditation. And meditation increases the brain activity in the frequencies associated with relaxation and happiness. The brain activity is measured by EEG. There are some waves, alpha waves, beta waves, theta waves, delta waves. They are measured, they are measurable. So in meditation, there is an increase of alpha waves in EEG. Alpha waves indicate relaxation. When a person is relaxed, the alpha waves will be more. So in meditation, there is an increase of alpha waves, and also there is an increase of theta waves, which correlates with feelings of happiness. And there are reduction of the chemicals normally associated with stress, like cortisol hormone and also blood lactate. These are the chemicals that are associated with stress. So when the stress is more, cortisol is secreted more. When the stress is more, lactate is produced in the body in more quantities. So during meditation, there is a reduction of the lactate and also reduction of cortisol. And there is an increase of calming hormones associated with feeling of well-being. This is also another thing that happened during meditation. There are 2 hormones that are associated with sense of well-being. One is called as melatonin and another is called as serotonin. These 2 hormones are found in increased quantities during meditation. So these are some of the physiological changes that occur in the body during meditation. Then now I will take you to the various studies, scientific studies about meditation. There are about 2,000 scientific studies about meditation. There were important among them were about 400. So when I reduce them to the most important studies, I am mentioning around 5 studies that have been conducted in the world internationally, and those studies about meditation and changes in the meditation. Murphy and Donovan in 1996 established that meditation reduces cortisol levels by 25% in long-term meditation. Cortisol is an adrenal hormone that is found in high quantities in stress-related conditions, a hormone involved in fight or flight response. Dharam Singh Khalsa in 2001 found that cortisol is also related to aging process and age-related memory disorders. This is also another important thing. Cortisol hormone is related to aging, and also cortisol is related to memory disorders. So once this is controlled by meditation, the changes of aging will be very less in meditation, during meditation. So those meditators will have less aging effect. So that is how our ancient yogis, even in the age of more than 100 years, they look equally young, energetic. That is all due to meditation. And also memory disturbances are more in cortisol. When the cortisol is reduced by meditation, there is a chance of improving the memory. The memory will be improved during meditation and due to meditation. And Herbert Benson in a Harvard Medical School, 1975, found that there was a coordinated deep restfulness during meditation, and meditation produces deeper rest than sleep. I was again mentioning to you, oxygen consumption is reduced by 8% in deep sleep, whereas it is reduced by 10 to 20% in meditation. That means half an hour meditation is equal to 2 to 3 hours of deep sleep. So this is a formula which all of you should remember. Meditation produces many times more restfulness than sleep. Then in Benson 1975 also reported in 25 studies that certain electrical brain activity, EEG, alpha and theta waves increased both in intensity and frequency during meditation. He also showed an unusual synchronization and coherence of alpha activity among the 4 quadrants of the brain: front, back, left and right. See, as all of you know, brain has 4 sides: front, back, right and left. So there is a coordination between all the 4 parts of the brain during meditation. So this is the coordination that has effect which is associated with creativity and intelligence. So this is a part where studies are being conducted now, how meditation increases the creativity, how meditation increases the intelligence, how meditation increases the relaxation and peacefulness, and it opens the mind to a rich source of intelligence and creativity. This is the part which is very obscure. యాక్చువల్గా ఈ విషయంలో ఇప్పుడు ఎక్కువ సైంటిఫిక్ స్టడీస్ జరుగుతున్నాయి. మెడిటేషన్ వల్ల మానసిక వికాసం జరుగుతుంది. మెడిటేషన్ వల్ల కొత్త ఛానల్స్ ఓపెన్ అవుతున్నాయి బ్రెయిన్లో, కొత్త ఆలోచన పద్ధతి ఓపెన్ అవుతుంది, కొత్త ఆలోచన స్రవంతి జరుగుతుంది. మనం ఎన్నో విషయాలు మెడిటేషన్లో మనకి గోచరం అవుతున్నాయి. ఈ విషయాలన్నింటినీ ఇప్పుడు సైంటిఫిక్గా స్టడీ చేస్తున్నారు. ఇది మనకి ఫ్యూచర్కి ఆశాకిరణం. ఇది భవిష్యత్తులో మనకి ఆశాకిరణం ఏంటంటే మెడిటేషన్లో ఎటువంటి మార్పులు వచ్చి మనం ఎక్కువ ప్రపంచాన్ని తెలుసుకోగలుగుతాం, సృష్టిని తెలుసుకోగలుగుతాం. అలాగే ఈజీ అండ్ ఆల్సో ఎంఆర్ఐ అండ్ అదర్ studies were conducted and they recorded changes in meditation. Now I will go to the uses of meditation in psychological practice and psychiatric practice. So this is a part where I have specialized, and I have used meditation successfully, and also it is recorded internationally by various doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, that meditation is useful in the following conditions. One is called as generalized anxiety disorder or anxiety neurosis, then phobic disorder, phobia. I am sure all of you know about various phobias: claustrophobia, agoraphobia, zoophobia, and panic attacks, sudden anxiety, palpitation, sweating, fainting, that is called as panic attacks, and hysteria, that means thinking and excessive thinking spoils the body organs and produces physical symptoms, that is called as hysteria. అంటే శరీరంలో ఏ జబ్బు ఉండదు, కానీ మానసికమైనటువంటి ఆలోచన వల్ల శారీరకమైనటువంటి సమస్యలు వస్తాయి. దాన్ని హిస్టీరియా అంటారు. సో దానిలో ఉపయోగపడుతుంది. అండ్ ఆల్సో టెన్షన్, హెడేక్ అండ్ సైకోసెక్షువల్ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్, దట్ ఈస్ ఆల్సో helped by meditation. Frigidity, premature ejaculation, impotence, and such sexual problems are also cured by meditation. And also psychosomatic disorder, this is very important. The list is increasing day by day. Hypertension, diabetes, even cancer also, they say it has a psychosomatic component. And also some skin problems and ulcerative colitis, hyperacidity. So those are all the various psychological problems affecting the body organs. They are called as psychosomatic problems. They are helped by meditation. And also moderate hypertension can be controlled, and migraine can be helped by meditation. And also some student problems like lack of concentration in education, inferiority complex, some of the student problems of over-involvement with drugs, over-involvement with some love affairs. So some such student problems also can be helped by meditation. And some habit disorders are helped by meditation. And pain reduction is one of the important findings that is found with meditation. So meditation is used in normal individuals also to improve concentration, memory, general well-being, and personality development and stress management. I am sure my next speakers will be speaking on the stress management through yoga and meditation. So I wish that our Guruji blesses us with the ability to enter into meditation deeply and get benefit out of meditation and to lead a happy life through meditation, yoga, and other ancient Indian practices. Thank you all.